don't know how you expect anybody to follow you. But anyway, thank you so much. I mean, that's a very, very nice honor. I'm flattered. I'm clearly not worthy of this. I'm glad I got to go first because I just hate to compete with the next speaker. And anyway, but I want to start with recognizing the chancellor and the provost and honor them for what a great job you guys did in selecting a dean for the B School. I think she's going to do a great job. The next, I have to honor my mother is here tonight, so she traveled to the Final Four and walked into that big deal both nights. So anyway, the daughter and son-in-law of my sister, who was the older sister, preceded me in the B School, so she kind of plowed the ground. But her daughter went off to be a kind of a mediocre profession of becoming a doctor, and her husband's a doctor. So it's too bad you couldn't be in the business school. Anyway. And then my son, I'm thrilled to have here, there's something special about that too. He's announced that he's going to start KU next year. And even better, we think he's going to go into the business school. So, yeah. And then, of course, most importantly, I can't, what's that? Mom's telling me to do something. Louder? Okay. Sorry. Thank you, Mom. Okay. Okay. But I can't forget my wife, or I'm in deep trouble, and she does put up with a lot. Because thank you. The main thing she puts up with is my weird recreational habits. Most people like to go hunt, fish, golf, those things. I like to do deals. And that's really what I do. I'm a dealaholic. I tried the cure once. It didn't work. And so that's what I do. So anyway, the history real quick, and I'll try and shorten this down. Anyway, my dad went to KU, started with that. He was an accounting major here. He loved it. So he's always telling me how great it was. I'd always tried to be treasurers because he told me that was how you learned what was going on. Then my sister came through. We had a great relationship with Dean Panay, who was a vice dean. He was on one of our family boards. And then I arrived on campus the summer, I guess was that this fall after the Union burned. So those were interesting times. A lot of activities going on and a lot of different folks. It was really a good time to learn how to deal with all sorts of people, and I think that's helped me through my career. I can't remember exactly when this was, but one of my fondest memories was, not fondest, but memories was I was at Murphy Hall listening to a play, and you heard what sounded like one of the props in the back falling over. And we didn't know at the time, but what that was the bombing of the computer center at Summerfield. And, afterwards we were kind of didn't know whether to be happy or sad because it didn't do the job. We didn't get school closed down. But anyway, but that was a memory. Neely asked for more memories, and you need to do this a little earlier because memories fade. And anyway, so I had to go down into the boxes. I opened boxes I hadn't opened for 20 years just to try and find some stuff. And anyway, I brought some visuals just for fun. Anyway, the first is, I guess first thing was pulling cards. Remember pulling cards? These are class cards for pulling. And then here was my first calculator at KU. That was a calculator. I'm aging myself a little bit here. Anyway, then probably the most memorable part of business school at KU, besides the sauna on the windows, were the evil punch cards. Sitting at one of those machines where you had to get it in the exact right spot, or it didn't run, or you get an endless do loop. You remember that? I mean, so that is probably one of my biggest memories right there. Anyway, another thing, just for fun, and while I was going through the boxes, I found the fee schedule. So guess how much it cost for a semester of KU back in 1971 or 70. All in was $231 for anything more than 6 hours. So, can you do that now? Anyway, then here's probably the horrible econ book. The Fortran book. And this actually was one of my favorites, the business law book. That actually helped a lot. So anyway, other texts I found: capital budgeting, finance, business, and the business law I showed you. So anyway, but more important, short and sweet. They say, okay, what'd you learn? And I say, well, I wish I'd known a fraction of what I thought I knew when I was 20 years old. And then, but KU helped me learn the more you know, the more you know you don't know, if that makes sense. And then you learn what's out there and what you can learn, and then that's what you ultimately use as you figure out if you can learn it in the future. And you forget the stuff you learned in school. It's amazing what I saw in these books that I've been using, but I don't think I remembered it right out of school. So pay more attention when you first go through. So anyway, the other things, kind of truisms you learn: you got to work your tail off. If you got the same name as on the company door, you got to work twice as hard and twice as long, or they think they gave it to you. Keep an open mind on new deals, new ideas. That's been one of the most fun things I've done, and I can list off the businesses that we've been doing. I'll probably spare you that. And perseverance is a big deal in business. Everybody knows that. I'm not telling you. You guys know all this stuff. Make sure you enjoy what you're doing, so then it's not work. And then one thing I learned after school but it really was what school said, was the rotary four-way test. I'm not a huge Rotarian, but it's the 4 tests of the things you think, do, and say. First one being, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and friendships? And is it beneficial to all? Anyway, those principles, if you live by them, are great for doing business. And I've found that deals come to me like crazy because over the years, that's the way we've treated people. So, and I'm going to skip. I started out to be an industrial engineer, but then the oil business got good again. So, it's interesting. They told me in 1970, the conventional wisdom was we're going to run out of oil in 20 years. And the price of oil when I started school was $2, and my dad said, whatever you do, is don't go in the oil business. So things do change. You have to be ready. And KU gave me the training to change. So they want to know have I gone over time yet? Okay. The question was, how do you retain passion and relevance in one's business life? And again, I enjoyed its recreation. Do lots of different deals. We're in the buy your, pay your car business. We've done a lot of real estate handshake deals. I do some things on the side. I partner up with a bunch of guys. I like finding people that like to do things and then give them the money. They've got the time and expertise. And so we work together and do these deals. Taco Bells, if you've eaten in Taco Bell in Lawrence, you've eaten at one of our Taco Bells. So. And 70% chance if you did it in Kansas City that it was one of my partner Paul Hoover and his highest Taco Bells. I'm pleased to be with Executive Air Share, Bob Taylor here. He gave me the stats, I've forgotten them, but it's a large fractional air company, and it's cheaper than net jets. We'd love to sell you some. And anyway, I was going to shamelessly promote. I meant to do this when I was. This is Underground Vaults and Storage. This is something that my dad was involved with and started. 3 million square feet of storage in the salt mines in Hutch. So anyway, we'd love to have you as a customer. I happen to be the chairman and CEO of that right now, too. Anyway, let's see. A bunch of other stuff. Global Parts is kind of a cool deal. Beechcraft want to get rid of all their dead parts, so we started up a deal in Augusta, Kansas, and now it's expanding over to Africa and a bunch of places. And pumping units, the guys wanted to import Chinese pumping units. I helped them, and that grew to 15% of the market. And anyway, we love ranch land. I was going to tell you a few more stories, but I think that's, well, let me tell you one quick one. Well, tell me when you get bored. Anyway, 3 quick ones. First one, real quick. KFC to China. Back as a biz school, gave you the, don't be afraid of stuff. 1993, I took 3 trips to China, and one of them was to try and become a KFC franchisee over there. And actually, KFC had initially agreed to let. I had a guy working for me, and we were selling aircraft parts to China, and then they were assembling stuff, sending them back. Anyway, long story short, it didn't work. I took a 700-kilometer cab ride because I missed a plane out in China. I didn't speak a lick of Chinese, didn't have an interpreter, but I made it. But unfortunately, that's a deal that didn't work. But we sure tried. And then one that's really fun that did work was in 1998, Occidental Petroleum owned a whole bunch of oil properties in Kansas. They decided they were going to sell them, and so. And this is the long version is kind of fun, but the short version is that my dad, who encourages me all the time, which was great, he was actually had prostate cancer, and we were at MD Anderson, and these bids were due, and of course I didn't want to do it because of him, and so he said, no, go for it. And so I sat there in the waiting room, filled out this bid. It was a preliminary indication, and so I filled it out, had the nurse fax it in, and we got called back to the data room. All my competitors in Kansas didn't. Well, long story short, we ended up getting it bought, and GE helped us, and 10 years later, or 8 years later, we were able to finance GE out of the deal. And then in 2007, we were able to do a royalty trust where we actually listed it on the New York Stock Exchange. So same properties that we'd bought, basically at Dad's encouragement. And anyway, so we got to go ring the bell in 2007, which was really fun, and something I'd never really thought about at the business school, but it was really fun. And I highly recommend it. So anyway, recently Sim Group failed, and that's the third story. Is I was able to go get a bunch of these guys, put them and hire them, and we've actually built that company in the last 3.5 years using Kansas production, where our sales are actually up to $1.5 billion in 3 years. Now it's oil, and so there's a razor thin margin, but anyway, it's been a lot of fun. And I guess to answer the question, those type of deals are what kind of keep me energized. It's fun. You're doing different things. You're meeting people. These guys that are doing that MVP is what that's called. Are having a great time. And so anyway, that's so all those things. And of course, the core business is growing, and that's of course part of it. And anyway, I was finished up here. I was blessed with the excellent B school. Gave me the knowledge to tackle problems. That in conjunction with my outside experience, and then a father, willing to, he would tell me, you'll figure it out, instead of solving a difficult problem for me, and then he'd say, you'd figure it out, and then he'd give me enough rope to go ahead and hang myself occasionally. And anyway, I look forward to doing a lot more business in Kansas, working with Neely, and I really do thank you all for this award. Thank you.